Hi, Noah Road here. I just thought I'd take a little time to um, show on my video diary my cart. This is something that I use for being more permanently homeless. And this is something that would really only be useful to somebody who's physically able to carry it or push it around. People's uh, abilities obviously vary. Um, I'm healthy enough and I'm very grateful that I am to be able to use something like this. With that said, I wanted to go through a little bit of it, like how I slapped this all together and how to use it, and some of my ideas about homelessness, my style of homelessness, Noah Road style of homelessness, and I'll probably forget almost as much as I talk about. But I've used this cart many times. I've spent a lot of months on the road with just this cart. And the reason I like this cart is because it takes a lot off of my back, and I'm able to carry things like more food, more water, more gear, to where I can stay more longer stretches of time in the wilderness, away from towns and stuff, and I don't have to constantly be going in and, back and forth all the time. And I don't depend on rides and things. So one of the first things that I recommend in being with my style of homelessness is finding a really good area that has enough mountains to have natural resources, and it's mellow enough to not be too corrupt in the judicial system. All judicial systems is corrupt for sure, but some are like there's the less of two evils, and find the most lenient, the most easy to fly under the radar area as you can, with some natural resources such as springs and a lot of wilderness with lots of foliage and stuff, places where you could hide away, a lot of back roads that go from one place to another, where you don't have to depend on main roads so much, and you can avoid major towns, places that are all out of major cities and not too connected to counties that the county seat is small. One of the reasons I also like that, because there's always a risk of jail if you're homeless, not because you're doing anything really particularly bad, but it's just the circumstance that a homeless person puts themselves in because of the facticity of life. Sometimes you're sleeping on property that if a cop wanted to lean on you for some real reason, if he was kind of a little bit corrupt and maybe sadistic, he could slap a charge on you, and unnecessarily so, of course, but he could, and haul your butt to jail. So if you're in a county that's small, the jail is probably going to be a lot easier to deal with. You don't have those real hardcore gangsters and stuff. Like me, I'm in western Pennsylvania, and I'm in like Clearfield and Elk County and places like that, Jefferson County. And of course, I wouldn't want to go to any of those jails, and there are probably some rough dudes in there. But it's not going to be as bad if I was in Allegheny County or down in Cambria County. Heck, wow. Or Laconia County, way out on the eastern side of the state. If I was in jail in one of them places, man, no road, man, I can't handle people as it is, let alone that level of criminal type mentality. So I'm always thinking, hey, let's keep it in the counties that are very wildernessy and really small towns, and the county seats are pretty small. Like the county seat of Elk County, that's like Ridgeway. That's where the jail is. And if I ended up in jail over a bullshit chicken shit charge that some sadistic cock drummed up against me just because I was homeless and he wanted to mess with me, I would go to Elk County probably, unless there was an overcrowding situation, but they might ship you around or something. But hopefully, it would stay here. So I think that's always something to consider. And another thing, just staying in one area. Don't, the nationwide travels. It's basically it's out. It's just, unless you really have to, forget about nationwide traveling. Find an area, and like I say, more of a smaller area, rural areas, where there's going to be a few homeless people around, but they're not like tent cities and crazy stuff and the zombies that are bent over from shooting up weird drugs and stuff. Those kind of cities, you don't want to be anywhere near that kind of garbage, and you don't want to be under any real corrupt judicial umbrellas. You know what I mean? Real sadistic kind of areas. You can pick up when you're homeless long enough. You can pick up what areas are better than the other, and then you want to keep yourself in as good a physical shape and condition as you can. You don't want it to be Mr. Olympia, but you know, you got to stay functional. You got to keep everything kind of healthy and going right. You can't get into alcohol dependency or any of these other things. You got to give up the smoking. You got to give up as much bad food as possible. You know. So, anyways, and all that said, I at one time built up this cart, as you can see. So this cart, I knocked off a this cage from a laundry cart. I knocked it. I took the wheels off of it, and then I just kind of put it over this thing, and then I tied it on a couple of these points, and then I put this bag on it, which has got some really cool stuff in it. You just and it's tied, like here and over here, and I can flip it up like this. You see what I mean? How cool that is? And then I can go in here. I can put things in here like 2 jugs of water, big gallons of water. Look at this, huh? You want to have something at the bottom. As you can see, I got this really thick piece of deal, but also a little cardboard. Some kind of real tough styrofoam I found. And you just utilize things that you find, some of this stuff. And as you can see how it's constructed? And I even got a spare tire in the back. See that? In case one of these things went flat, I can grab this sucker and slap it right on. Always carry a tool, you know, to do that. Oh, with that said, I can stack things like extra food, protein powders, extra winter boots, a big thick winter jacket. And then this, you always want to have one of these extra ones. And this you can try to put in like this. And put this back on. And this thing can kind of stack up about yay high. And then you want a couple of tarps. One of these tarps. You always want a brown tarp or a green tarp. And here's a good tarp. This is kind of like a junk tarp. I use it as a spare to cover up my backpack if I'm just camping out under a tarp in case it's that spray, that rain spray. And I like this one because it has 2. This is for winter, so I can put this, and then this here is for summer. And it's really cool. And this also doubles as a sort of rain fly for this thing. If I'm pushing along, I've got this, which is a rain poncho that I can throw on real fast. And then I got these things, and I can do this deal. Well, first I'm going to show you one thing. Here's what I do with my big sleeping bag, my big bedroll. See? Put this on. And then I got these long bungee cords. And I do see this? I just wrap it around like there, hook it onto that cage. I take the other one. One side of the bungee cord is right here. I take this, wrap it around. See how easy it is? And I wrap it around right there. Then I'll always carry a cardboard, really thick cardboard that I can wear. A lot of times it's actually piled up a tad higher because things kind of build up underneath here and they push things up. And I put a piece of cardboard, like a big piece of cardboard, that hangs in here. And I don't have one on me right now, but if I left, I'd go get a piece of cardboard as fast as I could. And that's what I lay on. And what I can do, if I was walking down the highway and all this, like an old country road, and one of these rural areas, then I can just put on my rain poncho, and then I can take this thing here and put that over it, tie stand up here real fast like this. And then I can bend this down. And then I can take these bungee cords and wrap one here, strap it over here, and do that in a couple of spots, and voila. And I can have my rain poncho on, and I can push this sucker even in the rain. Or I can just pull it into the woods and set up a tarp real fast, sit under it until the rain goes, or set up camp or whatever. Now, I always carry my backpack. So it's kind of like this deal. Backpack on, and then this thing, and that's how I'm pushing. I got all this stuff. And I pushed this sucker from this part of Pennsylvania where I'm at all the way down to Tennessee once. I've also spent months on the road up here in Pennsylvania with this cart, or at least one like it. I think it's probably my third cart I built up. But it works, and I got the idea originally from the 2009 movie, I think, called The Road with Viggo Mortensen, and he was pushing a cart with his son and stuff, and it was after the post-apocalypse and stuff, and it was really a cool movie. But the idea is what intrigued me, and I love it. And I was saying to myself, I wonder if that will work. And then that will get me off of that sense of dependency on the kindness of strangers all the time, and always having to stay really close to town. And I was able to be more independent as long as I was physically fit enough, you know, to be able to utilize this, you know. But yeah, so I always try to stay. As I get older, I do lose energy and strength, and I have to kind of outsmart my body. It takes more time to recover, and I work out with lighter weight. And I have to accept I'm not a badass or Mr. Olympia, but I can stay functional, and it does take a little work and a little effort on my part. Well, anyways, this is a little bit. So see how it is when you go to bed? You just take this, do that, wrap it around real quick, and then just kind of hook it somewhere around here. Well, hook it somewhere around here like so. And then take the other one. And then, of course, if I had that cardboard piece in there, I'd put that on the ground, and that's what I'd lay on. And I'd start setting up my tarp or whatever. And then I'd do this, and voila, I got my bedroll ready to go. You know, grab my tarp, set that sucker up real fast, have rope ready in here, and one of the most important things, here's like a shovel, you know, but this thing here, you see this? These suckers you find on the road all the time, on the side of the road, when you're hiking around. He's like, I don't know, so you shoot up one. But I use this to get into my deep, the places where I go camping and stuff, stealth camping, because you have to cut through. You got to make your own path through these things, through like the woods. And you're cutting through picker bushes and stuff, because if you walk right through it, man, your legs are going to be totally sliced, like walking through razor wire or something like that. So you got to sit there. Sometimes it take an hour just to get into a good spot to camp, using one of these folding saws and using one of these gloves, because you're grabbing a hold of pickers in a lot of places. I've trailed my way through, you know, a lot of tough, thick areas with like pickers that were almost like razor wire, and I've made it my home. And I would cut in with certain angles to where if somebody was looking straight in, they wouldn't notice a trail, you know, and I would trail in this way and that way, and then I would remember how to get in, and it would take sometimes a half an hour to get this big old thing in. But once I was in there, I could stay camped and hidden, stealth camping, not too far from a town where it would be kind of a convenient location, sometimes for 2-3 months or longer even in some cases. And I could go get gym membership or something like that. You learn the dumpsters in the area. And because I do know this area, I'm like in the 60-mile region. I don't go cross country. I used to. But, you know, 60-mile region, you know, it's a good long stretch. I got a place I can go from one town to the next. And, you know, it's a good location, you know, like for me. Other people, they might resonate with another location, but really, location is really key. And being independent, this is key, you know. You can take heavy stuff like this, and you can put it right in there, you know what I'm saying? extra food. There's 2 gallons of water in there, you know, so that gives me a longer stretch of time that I can stay hidden away without being forced to go out and get water. You know what I mean? So the less you have to go in and out, the more independent you are, and the more independent you are, and the more capable you are of, you know, being able to make your way into a really stealthy location where not many people are likely to come across and find you. You know, like for instance, with this and these gloves slicing in. I don't know. It's just ideas how I survive in the wintertime. Ladies, or when I get into a place to stay, I will lay this sucker out like that. And then depending on the season, if it's like the spring, summer, I will use this size. And then I will take those, like these things, and I'll strap it around, and then I'll put branches with little pine boughs and stuff all around it, and, you know, old oak, brown oak leaves, and stuff like that are still stuck and hanging on the branch from the previous season. And it works great for camo. And if it's winter time, I'll flip it around, and yes, I do camp in the winter. It's just now I'm taking this respite, this break. I needed the recovery. I was camping out a lot for like 3 years and running my body hard, and I was just getting exhausted. And I'm getting older, so I'm having to kind of like rewire everything, you know, rethink everything. But yeah, this is my winter. Or under bridges where it's all rock. And you notice this, it blends into rocks that are under bridges and stuff. So it's like really cool. So yeah, you can, you know, maneuver around. I mean, cross country, you know, hiking around and stuff, like it's just not what it used to be. People used to hop on freight trains and stick their, you know, go on an on-ramp and stick their thumb out. They could be all over the country and stuff. Those days are gone. I mean, you could force that to happen, but it's just not what it used to be. Everything's really uncomfortable and edgy. So you got to find a, you know, location is more important than ever. And then once you find that location, having a storage unit is a really good thing. And then once you have that storage unit built up, you got that extra resource you could legally go back to and keep things. Then build yourself up a cart like this in a good area that you know real well. And yeah, you know, you find the less of two evils when it comes to judicial system. You don't want to be under the umbrella of a real creepy, corrupt judicial system. There's some places you just feel it, you just know it, man. It's like they ain't gonna put up with this for 5 minutes here. They'll stick anything on you, a bunch of sadists and stuff, you know, what the citizens and the cops alike. And then there's other places that seem to be a little more easy. And there is nothing without corruption, but there's less corruption and a lot more corruption depending on where you're going. And then there's great resources, and then there's like not so good a resource. And then certain towns are set up in a way to where you can kind of pop up, disappear, come back in, and won't draw so much attention because there's more than 1 or 2 or 3 ways to get there. And there's a lot of woods and natural resources in the setup. And then you got to think about like your phone recharge and stuff like that. You can, yeah, how to get water if you don't have any, if there's any dumpsters around, you know, if there's, yeah, there's all sorts of cool things to think about. And this is sort of like how I think and how I do it. I'm just kind of like touching base because I have been like here for all this time, like recovering. I've been off the road for a while, and you know, I don't want to forget. It's like I'm sharpening the blade. You know what I'm saying? I'm oiling everything and, you know, going over things. And I just thought I'd make this video, you know, just to touch base with y'all and kind of show you, you know, just because I'm, you know, in an apartment now doesn't mean that I'm not, you know, always in Noah Road. You could take Noah off of the road, but you can't take the road out of Noah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always trying to stay sharp and, you know, and I don't know. One of these days, you know, I'll probably have to live out of a backpack, or in this case, out of a big old cart. You know what I mean? I just want to stay sharp, and I also want to touch base with people that have watched Noah Road and haven't seen me, you know, come on about this kind of stuff in a while. You know, touch base with y'all. So yeah, I'm still out here. I'm kind of like, I don't know. Well, anyways, y'all, God bless you. Over and out for now.